This is my 2020 insane NFL mock draft. It's going to be pretty radical, some of the trades that I have going. Sit tight. It's going to be fun. Uh, I'm going to go through the trades before I start the mock draft. So I'm going to have a couple of trades explained in detail and why I think they should be done. And this is what I would do mock draft. It's not exactly to say that this team will do this. I think some of these teams are not brave enough to go ahead and make some of these trades, but I would definitely recommend them. So the first trade I have going, I have the Houston Texans trading the Deshaun Watson to the Miami Dolphins for the 18th pick, the 26th pick, their third rounder this year, all three of their fifth round picks, all three of their seventh round picks, and Josh Rosen and a five in the following year's draft. I think it works out for both parties. The Texans are in rebuild mode. Breeder's gone, Clowney's gone, Hopkins is gone, Honey Badger's gone. So it's just a way for them to regroup, refresh, restart, rebuild, and see if they can win their division. Um, so next trade, I have Tampa trading their 14th overall selection to the Eagles. That way, the Eagles can go ahead and jump the Denver Broncos for Henry Ruggs. Makes a ton of sense. They get a speed guy for Carson Wentz to really get some weapons and really go to the next level. I think he'll be an excellent addition in Philly, Henry Ruggs. So I'll have them trading that pick for a 2, a 4, and a seventh round selection in this year's draft. Next trade, probably one of the craziest trades of them all. I have the LA Chargers trading for Sam Darnold. Um, it makes a lot of sense. Sam Darnold gets to go back home. The Josh Allen thing is kind of worrying. Brandon Beane's doing a phenomenal job. Stephon Diggs is there. He has a lot of assets, a lot of weapons. Dawson Knox, a lot of tools around him, and Sam Darnold really doesn't have that many tools around him. The GMs have been poor. McCagnon kind of got the team for 3 slots. The new GM has been just as disappointing. So I think it's good he gets to go back home. The Chargers are a young quarterback and offensive line away from really making some noise in the AFC. And then from the Jets' point of view, it's great. You get a whole bunch of picks. I have them signing Cam Newton to a 1 or 2 year deal as well. So he's an excellent bridge quarterback for your 2021 quarterback monster that you draft, hopefully, whether it's Lawrence Fields, maybe Ellinger can get a jump. Hopefully, JT Daniels can do some things as well. Whoever that monster in the 2021 quarterback class is, maybe go ahead and regroup and refresh there and let Cam Newton hold down the fort. So I have Cam Newton going to the Jets, being signed on a 2 year deal. For another trade that I have is San Francisco trading the 31st overall pick to the Carolina Panthers for their 2, their 4, and their 6. It's a good trade for both teams. San Francisco doesn't have a 2, a 3, or a 4 in this year's draft. So it's imperative that they trade back and get some assets, get some players, see if they can make another good Super Bowl run with their players and such. Last trade. This one's kind of iffy. I like it. I have Seattle trading for Yannick Ngakoue, so they're going to give up the 27th overall selection in the 2020 draft. I think it's a good trade for both teams. The cap space for the Seahawks is around 40 million or so. Ngakoue wants to be the highest paid defensive end in football. If they can convince him to take 20 million a year and not get the 22, 23 Fantasyland numbers that he's trying to get from Jacksonville or another team, I think that'd be great. Revitalize that pass rush. LJ Collier hasn't hit the standards of the levels of a Pete Carroll defense or the other players around him. So I think it's a great fit with Yannick Ngakoue going to the Seahawks for the 27th overall selection. So trades out of the way. I also have one more trade, actually. Sorry. I have the Detroit Lions trading the third overall pick to the Jacksonville Jaguars. For the ninth pick, the 20th pick, and then a 2 next year as well. So it'd be great for both teams. Detroit gets to trade down, get their corner to go with Amani, the 5th-round stud Penn State kid they had previous year, to go with Desmond Trufant, who can hopefully stay healthy and return to his elite level of play. Um, Hopefully they can get a corner at 9, Derek Brown, any of those options, and see if they can get some talent in Detroit to go after Aaron Rodgers. So that's all the trades done. I'm going to go ahead and actually start the mock draft. Some of these certain teams, certain fans will love certain picks a lot more than others. Uh, Let me know what you think of certain picks, what you like, what you don't like, if they make a lot of sense or not, and what would you do. This is a what would you do mock draft, so just let me know if you agree or not. Great. So with the first pick in the 2020 NFL draft, I do have the Bengals taking Joe Burrow. Phenomenal season, really mechanically sound in terms of throwing the football. Can get a little heel clicky, in terms of footwork and stuff. But those are just small issues he can clean up, footwork issues. But other than that, he's phenomenal. I think he'll be a great pick for the Bengals. There is some discussion about maybe trading down to 3, getting Joe Burrow at 3, and maybe getting like a 2 and a 1 next year. Don't so that way Detroit could get Chase Young. I don't really have an issue with that, but I just have him staying put and getting Joe Burrow, second best player in the class. With the second pick in the 2020 NFL mock draft, I have them taking Chase Young, edge rusher, Ohio State. I would also like them to trade down. Maybe if you can get Simmons in a second round pick. Ballard got him pretty good last year. They don't have a second round pick. A lot of holes on that roster. Pretty good defensive front. They got Payne. They have Jonathan Allen, Matt Ioannidis. Kerrigan's there. Sweat is there. So maybe Chase Young is a luxury pick here. But if you can get a Simmons and a second, I think those two players would make more of an impact than Chase Young on his own. So if I'm Washington, I would trade the pick. But I'm taking Chase Young here. Best player in the class by a lot. Really, really good player. Solid 16 and a half sacks. Physical. Really, really quick, explosive. I think will be a great fit for the Redskins too. Third pick, this is the Jacksonville Jaguars traded for this pick. It makes a lot of sense. Gardner Minshew, 6th-round quarterback. I think he's a backup level, performed admirably last year. They could go in this direction, get a franchise guy, let him compete. Nick Foles is gone. It could be a pleasant surprise getting Tua at 3 here. I have him taking Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback at Alabama. I'm not as high as on him as a lot of other fans are. Yes, he has production, but when you have arguably a top 2 line in the country and 3 elite receivers, first-round receivers, and you're still getting hurt and stuff like that, it's questionable. He's still a really good football player. Elite 11 MVP, solid, smart, accurate. I think he's more of a Sam Bradford than Drew Brees. But if he goes into the right system, I think he'll be fine. 4th overall, Giants, Gettleman, hilarious. Had 3 first-round picks last year and are still picking in the top 5. Hopefully, we'll see what Joe Judge can do. They've been poorly coached for a while now. The GMs aren't the best with Jerry Reese and Gettleman. Not a big fan of his work, honestly. I think they had a poor free agency, New York. Let's see a lot of Simmons talk here. They run a 3-4. I don't think Simmons can play either middle linebacker. He's a little too small. He's not going to be pass rushing from the outside linebacker spot. So I just have them passing on him and getting the biggest hog molly, as Dave would call it, in Mekhi Becton. I think he's going to love his upside. He's not as technically sound as the others, but I think he's going to like his power and upside. So I think Gettleman will get the biggest hog molly out of all the hog mollies and get Mekhi Becton with the 4th overall pick. With the fifth overall pick, I forgot to mention this trade when I was going over trades. Um, I have the Miami Dolphins trading this pick to the Cleveland Browns for the fifth overall pick. The Cleveland Browns will pick fifth. Miami will pick at 10. They'll get their second round pick and their fourth round pick, maybe a 6 or a 7, something like that. So Cleveland, this makes a lot of sense. Lamar Jackson's terrorizing the division. You get someone that can spy, that can somewhat deal with them. Simmons is a 4-3 monster. Fast, smart, instinctive, flows to the ball really well. If you make any sorts of progress, he can be a Kelsey nullifier, hopefully. Could deal with tight ends really well, can match with receivers in the slot. Um, then you also get rid of the Joe Schobert loss. He can come in, deal with their poor safety play as well. So you kind of kill two birds with one stone there and getting Isaiah Simmons for the Cleveland Browns, fifth overall. The number sixth overall selection, I have them taking, this is the New York Jets pick in the Sam Darnold trade. So I have them taking Jedrick Wills here. Alabama tackle. It's really, really sound, really, really solid. I think it's a great pick for the Chargers. Russell Okung is gone, so it makes even though the Jets address some issues in the free agency for the offensive line, most of them are interior guys. They could really use a stud tackle in that division, and that'll really help out the Jets big time, taking Jedrick Wills, right tackle, Alabama. The seventh pick in the 2020 NFL mock draft, after Carolina Panthers taking Jeff Okudah, best cover corner in the draft. Um, he's really, really solid, clean, technically sound. Didn't have a lot of penalties in college. Good in press, good in off. Um, Instinctive football player. Doesn't really make a lot of mental mistakes or errors. There were some parts of the Clemson semifinal I didn't like. I think T. Higgins, underrated wideout, gave him some huge problems, beating him from a slant, I think, for a touchdown. He was also kind of giving him a rough game all game as well, even though he somewhat played okay. But other than the semifinal game, his tape is really clean. So I have the Panthers taking Jeff Okudah to deal with the James Bradbury loss. They could go Derek Brown here, but I just think Okudah is more of a value pick here at 7. The eighth overall selection, the Arizona Cardinals, who shouldn't really be having an eighth overall pick. It's kind of disgraceful when Stephon Diggs can go for a 1 and Odell can go for a 1, and a receiver who's arguably better than both those guys goes just for a 2, a 4, and a washed up running back. They shouldn't be having an eighth overall pick, but they are picking there. I have them taking Tristan Wirfs, tackle out of Iowa, athletic. Ran really well at the combine. Did a really, really good tackle. He'll help Kyler Murray out over there so they can see if they can upset Seattle and take care of the Niners in that division. Ninth overall, this is the trade with Jacksonville. So Detroit's going to be, I'm going to have them taking Derek Brown here. They have Amani, the fifth round stud from last year out of Penn State. So I wouldn't rush CJ Henderson here. I would take Derek Brown, pair him up. You signed Shelton in free agency, Danny Shelton. I would see what Derek Brown can do for you. Push the pocket, create internal pass rush, stuff the run. I think he'll be an excellent addition to the Detroit Lions. And hopefully at 20, you can get your corner. If Gladney's by some miracle, or if Fulton or any of those cats are there at 20, you take them. With the 10th overall pick, this is the Cleveland Browns trade. I have the Miami Dolphins taking Andrew Thomas. Don't really know why he's falling down some boards for some strange reason. Maybe his hype train, or I don't know what's going on really. I think he's probably arguably the most polished who can play left or right out of the class. But some people have him as the fourth tackle in the class. I emphatically disagree with that. But I just think that this is what certain teams would do, what I would do based on how the board plays out. I would take Andrew Thomas here, left tackle, Georgia, for the Miami Dolphins. Keep Deshaun Watson upright, and make a play at that division, especially with that Bills D line in front seven. With the 11th overall pick, this is the New York Jets pick, original pick. So now they double dip with Alabama guys, getting Jedrick Wills with the 6th pick for the New York Jets. I also have them taking Jerry Jeudy here. Lost Robbie Anderson. Doesn't really have wideouts to begin with. I think Crowder's there. They don't really have too many options and weapons. So this will be wonderful for Cam Newton uh, and the New York Jets to stretch the field. Judy's explosive, best route runner in the class. He's a really, really talented wide receiver who could be a number one option for them and make a big impact in New York. With the 12th pick, the Las Vegas Raiders, I have them taking Sam White out, Oklahoma. So it'll be great for Mayock and Gruden, get Derek Carr some more weapons. Not the fastest burner, but he's productive, good hands, make contested catches. I think will be an excellent addition to the Oakland Raiders. CD Lamb, wideout, Oklahoma. 13, I have the San Francisco 49ers taking Javon Kinlaw. This may not be a popular pick, but just makes a ton of sense with the DeForest Buckner loss. You can just plug him right in. Thomas is somewhat disappointing, so if you can maybe get him to start over Thomas, Solomon Thomas, you can really replace Buckner, and he can just come right in and make the monster of a defense continue playing at an elite level. So I think this is a great pick for the San Francisco 49ers. I have them trading their next first round pick, which makes a lot of sense. So that way they can get some more players in to make another Super Bowl run. With the 14th overall pick, this is the trade I mentioned earlier. I have the Philadelphia Eagles taking Henry Ruggs here. It's imperative that they do not let Denver get Ruggs. They had poor receiver play, had injuries. They really need to address that position bad. I think Henry Ruggs, 4.2 speed guy, can really help Carson Wentz get some separation, move the ball down the field. Quick guy, drag route guy, slant guy, can really make a big difference for Doug Peterson, Carson Wentz, and the Philadelphia Eagles. So Tampa Bay will get a 2, a 4, and a 6, if I'm not mistaken for that. So with the 15th pick, the Denver Broncos, slightly disappointed that their man Ruggs is gone. But I have them taking Justin Jefferson. They are going to prioritize that position. Trading down would make a lot of sense as well. Maybe trading down into the early 20s, picking up some extra players, picking it there. Jefferson, 6'3" guy, deceptive speed, runs better than people think. I think he'd be an excellent addition with Cam Cortland's son. Anything that Drew Lock can get in the first round, even though there's a talented depth receiver class. I think Justin Jefferson at 15 is a little early, but I think it makes a ton of sense. The Denver taking Justin Jefferson, wideout LSU. 16th overall, Atlanta Falcons. CJ Henderson falls beautifully to them here. Desmond Trufant is gone. They just have a lot of needs at corner. The division they play in with Godwin and Evans and all the Saints, high-powered offense. Carolina's no slouch either, somewhat, with DJ Moore and McCaffrey and whoever. So it makes a lot of sense that they get corners, not only one corner, but maybe add another corner as well. So CJ Henderson's somewhat taller corner, a good impress, pretty good solid corner. Will start day one and help them out a lot. But the 17th overall pick, Dallas Cowboys, they're really addressing their D-line, getting Poe and getting Gerald McCoy, which is pretty good. Still have them taking K'Lavon Chaisson, edge rusher LSU. They could go corner here with the Byron Jones loss, but you can probably address that second round. Chaisson just brings such excellent value. He's a really, really good, quick pass rusher. Watch some tape on him. He's surprisingly better in the run game. Very, very surprised at how well he was in the run game. But I think he'd make a wonderful Dallas Cowboy. K'Lavon Chaisson, edge rusher. With the 18th overall pick, this is the Houston Texans selection with the Deshaun Watson trade. I haven't taken Herbert here, but I do originally have the Houston Texans getting a veteran quarterback. So when they take Herbert at 18, he can just be a backup, learn. develop, take care of some of the ball flip issues that he has. I call him Mr. Ball Flip. Um, Grow some confidence, take care of some of the minor issues he has, and play to his strengths. So have the Houston Texans taking Justin Herbert here at 18. In the Deshaun Watson trade, they're going to get a veteran, let Herbert back up, sit, learn, and then they can groom him into a special quarterback. Houston Texans. With the 19th overall selection, the Raiders, very impressed with Mike Mayock addressing Corey Littleton, addressing their poor linebacker play and depth that they need. So they don't really, not really going to have him get Murray or Queen here. But Gladney's on the board. He's rising, TCU corner. Really, really talented. Very, very underrated corner. So I think he'll make an impact, come in, step in day one for the Oakland Raiders and contribute right away. All right, for the 20th pick, this is the Detroit Lions pick with the Jacksonville Jaguars trade. I have him taking Christian Fulton here. He's a guy that you love or you hate. People are split down the middle with him. I actually kind of like him. I think his tape is kind of clean. I have him taking him 20th overall here. So he can come in with Desmond Trufant, Amani, or whoever Detroit has, and deal with the issues that Minnesota and Green Bay will possess. Sorry about that, Bears fan. Not really thinking they're going to do much this year. We've been really, really poor. But yeah, get the corner at 20, Christian Fulton. I think he'll make an impact, contribute. Derek Brown's going to be there. I think he'll be a great pick for Detroit at 20. 21, I have Tampa Bay taking Josh Jones. So you get to keep Tom Brady upright even more, address the tackle position, develop him. I think it's a great fit here. I mean, it could be slightly early, but I think this is a good range for where he would go. Tackle out of Houston. The Bucks, really, it's just offensive tackle, running back, wide receiver, things like that. Maybe even get another D-line. But Josh Jones is such a great value pick for them here. 22 overall, I have the Minnesota Vikings taking Denzel Mims. I actually think he's a sleeper, underrated wideout. He's not talked about as much as the others. He's a big guy with a good catch radius, deceptively fast. He's not like a huge burner, but he's really, really solid. Run routes really well. Catches the football. Good big catch radius. Good in red zone. And so I think he'll be an excellent addition to the Minnesota Vikings. Paying Kirk Cousins over $30 million, you got to start getting him some weapons and sort that out. With the 23rd overall pick, the New England Patriots, I haven't taken Zach Bond here to address their edge. They do need a quarterback. They do need a wide receiver. But I'm not really taking Jordan Love here. I'm not a big fan of Jordan Love. I know some people are high on him, some people are not. I just have an issue with the tape. Too many interceptions. Decision making is poor. And even if you go back to his 2018 tape, he had 32 touchdown passes max, and Jalen Hurts did that this year. I think they're much more comfortable getting Hurts in the third and getting an edge rusher, addressing wide out in the second, something like that. Josh Allen for the Bills coming out. Wyoming didn't have much around him. Receivers were poor. There were drops, but you could still see the arm talent. You could still see the upside, and I don't think Jordan Love is on that level coming out. So I mean, there's a lot of excuses for his interceptions and decision making, to which I don't buy because of Josh Allen is my reasoning for it. They're in very similar circumstances with not a lot around them, but you can see their decision making and the arm talent between the two quarterbacks. So Josh Allen's a reason why I'm not taking Jordan Love here with the excuses of poor decision making and interception play. Zach Bond, talented edge rusher, slightly undersized, quick, explosive. I think he'd be a great fit for the New England Patriots. 24th overall, I have New Orleans taking Patrick Queen. He gets to stay home, stay in the state. Instinctive linebacker, flows to the ball really well, sideline to sideline, makes great plays. Key contributor to that LSU defense, national champion, LSU Tigers. I think it'd be a great fit for New Orleans to address their defense, get it back to the 2009 Super Bowl level defense. With the 25th pick, the Vikings are back on the clock. We're going to get Noah Igbinoghene. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. He hasn't been playing football at the corner position for really too long. But I think he has a really good amount of upside. It's really good tape as well. I think he'll come and contribute right away. Trey Waynes is gone. I think he'll make a good impact. Mackenzie Alexander, I believe, is gone. So they could really use some corners. And he should be able to contribute and make a big impact right away. The 26th pick, this is the Houston Texans selection from the Deshaun Watson trade. I've been taking Jalen Reagor, wide receiver, TCU. It's a really quick, fast, explosive wide receiver that can make a big impact. It's important and imperative that they try and minimize the Hopkins damage too much, maybe by at least taking 2 wide receivers to go with Stills and Fuller for whatever quarterback is there, whether it's whether you want to start Rosen or Herbert or have your veteran there. That's an interesting quarterback room. But Jalen Reagor will kind of minimize some of that damage. Hopefully, he'll come in, speed guy, quick guy, get some separation, and help the Houston Texans minimize some of that DeAndre Hopkins damage. With the 27th pick overall, this is the trade that I had with the Seattle Seahawks, trading for this pick to Jacksonville, getting Yannick Ngakoue. So I have the Jacksonville Jaguars back on the clock here. The Seahawks have about $40 million in cap space. It's kind of difficult because Clowney's still unsigned. But if they can convince Yannick to maybe get $20 million a year rather than the 23, 24 fantasy land numbers that he's trying to seek, to surpass DeMarcus Lawrence, who's at $21 million, I think that's phenomenal. Yeah, good. Yeah, so Collier's been kind of a disappointment. So I think Yannick Ngakoue makes a big impact for the Seahawks. So Jacksonville will take Yator Gross-Matos. I think he suits more of a 4-3 scheme. But I think Yator Gross-Matos will make a big impact for the Jaguars. Good edge rusher, could clean up some things, but with some good coaching, he'll be a quality D end and bring Jacksonville back, hopefully. With the 28th overall selection, I have the Baltimore Ravens selecting Kenneth Murray, a linebacker, Oklahoma. Just fits a need, even though Mosley's been gone. They can just address that linebacker room, add talent to that position. He should be able to come right in, contribute, and be a big piece to that defense, which is loaded, especially with their D-line. With the 29th overall selection, I have the Tennessee Titans taking Ross Blacklock, defensive tackle out of TCU. This is just more of a Casey replacement. I didn't really like to trade to Denver. I thought they still should have kept him or got more in value. So he's someone that can just somewhat try and replace Jarrell Casey with. Very underrated player, actually, who's moving up boards. I think he'll be really good playing next to Simmons in that defensive line. So Ross Blacklock, defensive tackle, TCU to the Titans. With the 30th overall pick, I have the Green Bay Packers selecting T. Higgins. They could use a more slot, quick burner guy, but I think this makes a ton of sense. Very productive wide receiver. Had equal to or more production than DeAndre Hopkins and Sammy Watkins at Clemson. Very deceptively fast, insane catch radius. I think he actually was one of the few wideouts to really give Okudah serious problems. I think he would do wonders for Aaron Rodgers. I think Higgins would be a phenomenal draft pick for the Green Bay Packers, especially considering how Gutekunst and Ted Thompson have let Aaron Rodgers down for the last decade plus. Gutekunst really isn't really impressive, but hopefully Aaron can do even better than what they did, which would be Super Bowl. With the 31st overall selection, this Carolina's back on the clock. San Francisco trades this pick so they can get more selections. They don't have a 2, 3, or 4, so this will allow them to get a 2, 4, and a 6. So I have them taking A.J. Terrell here, the corner out of Clemson. He had pretty good tape, except the national championship game where he got like abused and struggled really well. He struggled immensely to deal with Jamar Chase, but there's no shame in that. I mean, Jamar Chase is a top three, top four player in next year's draft, arguably the best receiver in the country by a country mile. And so that national championship tape hurt him pretty bad. But I think Terrell can come in Carolina and double down, double dip, and get him there. I don't have a problem with them getting like Neville Gallimore here either, since they got Okuda. But um, that works out either way. With the 32nd overall pick, I have them taking DeAndre Swift, running back, Georgia. They could go corner here. Cesar Ruiz would be a nice pick as well. I just think he would be an upgrade over Damian Williams. You add more speed to that Kansas City offense. If Bryce Hall's there in a second, you can still get on the address your cornerback position late too. So I think it'd be really, really good getting DeAndre Swift, quick, fast, smart running back, can contribute, get the fifth-year option, and improve the team even more. So that is my 2020 Insane NFL mock draft. Please let me know if your thoughts, what you like, what you didn't like, how your team is going to do, if you think your team is going to win more games, lose more games. How do you think with the new schedule and more games, how that's going to play out? Go ahead and let me know. All righty. Good one.